Yo, what's up everyone? How y'all doing? All right, all right, all right. What is going on, everyone? Great to see you. What's up, Golden Child? How you doing, buddy? Barb, great to see you as always. Joanne, what's up? Kiki, good to see you. Cuban, what's up, my man? Bull Runner, what's up? JB, what's up, man? Fecker, always a pleasure. Julia, how's it going? All right. Hunter, my man, what's going on? Bearded, welcome in. Bison, what's up? Smashy, what's up? Everybody rolling in. Great to see you guys, man. The whole fam's here. All right. Appreciate that, Bearded. You're the man. So, what has happened today, right? So, as we talked about, we broke 4-hour structure, right, yesterday. And we talked about coming down to mitigate the range in this golden pocket 786 area, right? We talked about if we break the 1-hour structure here, which we broke here, we're likely going to come down in the golden pocket retrace. That's what happened here. Now, if you notice something that we pointed out in the Discord earlier today, when we were coming down here to these key fibs, is we had a breaker block on the 1-hour here, right? We had a breaker block on the 30-minute, right? And we also had mitigation of the accumulation or of the bottom demand, right? If you watch this channel, you know we expect range, initiation, mitigation, continuation. Now, in the Discord, people, when we came down here, a lot of people expressed like fear, like it's hard to buy when the price is like aggressively dropping on the 1 hour. And Barb said something really interesting that I want to echo, right? If you're feeling that way, it's often because you don't have a plan before the price starts doing this, right? That's why every day in the first 15 minutes of the stream, we talk about Bitcoin. We talk about the options that could happen. And I tell you guys every day, a prepared trader is a profitable trader, right? I posted in the Discord when we came down here. Let me pull that up here. One second, bear with me, guys. Okay. Okay, so in the Discord earlier today, whenever we came down here, I was like, we're hitting the 1 hour reversal band, we're hitting the spider line, and we're in between the 786 and the 618, right? Mitigation of the bottom demand, right? Yeah, this is not to call it 1 hour, but it's like, it's hard to think of a long when the hourly is racing down, right? Right? Have a plan before it happens. Shout out to Barb, right? So, with that in mind, right? Why? So understanding that we have all these confluences in this area, right? Understanding that we have reversal zones down here on higher time frames. Remembering to zoom out, right? We have this spider line, right? Support. We have our 1 hour reversal zone. We have 2 stacking breaker blocks. We have our mitigation of our demand, right? Also, if we zoom in a little bit, right? Whenever we had this range down here, we put in a little decision demand block here, right? So we would expect to get the bounce somewhere in this area, right? Whenever we come down to retest it, and that's where we bounce from, right? Now, if you are a little nervous, you can wait for the structure break, right? So we broke structure out of this demand here, right? Now, why are we more confident here than we were at the weekend lows, right? So one important thing to keep in mind, so earlier today, somebody sent me over some TA and I gave them an answer, and I think that it's relevant to go over that for everyone. So just bear with me, guys, a little bit of a flashbang here. If you don't like white charts, I apologize. I like white for market structure. So we were talking about the 4 hour, right? And some people were confused about like internal versus external structure on the 4 hour, right? So I just kind of want to clarify this for everyone. So this is looking at the 4 hour chart. Now it's important to understand that in this area of price, we do not have a valid low on the 4 hour. There is no 2 consecutive candles closing bearishly, right? Black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, right? There's no valid low in here, right? Which is important because whenever we were coming down, if we pull a fib here, none of these fibs were really respected. You see that? Kind of just like price went through all of them, right? But we do have a relevant 4 hour low here. 2 consecutive bearish candles, right? And so we notice that if we pull the fib from there, it's respected much better, right? We even got our low off this 886. So understanding where your relevant highs and lows are is very important. What's also important about understanding this? Well, we're this right here, all right? The 4 hour trend never broke bearishly, all right? This is still an uptrend from down here. Now, what does that mean? That means that this 4 hour external low down here is a strong low, right? And we broke internally bearish here. And we continued our internal bearish trend. Now, why is this important? Because we broke internally bullish here. after bouncing off of our mitigation, right? We mitigated the zone, and then we broke internally bullish. Now, this is very important because now your internal structure matches your external structure. And this is what we look for to spot the beginnings of a reversal, right? So now you have internal structure. You had a bullish change of character internally. And this is your first retrace after your bullish internal flip, right? So it makes more sense to be more bullish here than bullish here, right? Because you've actually gotten the external or the internal 4-hour flip to match your external structure, right? Whenever your internal flips to match your external, there's a higher chance that the trend is going to reverse. So whenever we come down here to our 786, no matter, even if you think the price is going to continue down, your risk to reward here, because you're entering into this external trend, so you would assume that if the trend continues, these highs will break, right? It doesn't mean they will, right? But this is the assumption that on risk to reward that you would operate on if you're setting a target, right? So your ultimate target for this trade would be at the highs, right? That's a 13-to-1 risk to reward, right? Now maybe you take profit along the way, right? Maybe you don't squeeze everything out of it, right? But in theory, this would be the trade, right? That means you can take this trade 13 times. You can lose this trade 12 of those times, and the time that you win will pay for all the times that you lose. This is the mindset of a trader that you need to have. You need to be thinking in risk to reward, probabilities. Am I taking high probability setups? Where can I enter into the trend for the cheapest amount of risk, right? Because if you're risking the same amount, the smaller your stop loss is, the higher your capital can be, right? So understanding that we're coming into an untapped breaker block on the 1 hour, right? Understanding, if you're trading with Cipher Matrix, right? Understanding, give it a second to load here, that you are wicking into your reversal zone and not closing inside of it, right? Understanding that there's so much volume of liquidations in this candle, right? I mean, you could say, you know, it's a vector candle, it's going to get recovered, whatever you want to say, right? Wicking into the reversal zone twice, not closing bullish engulf. I called out a 30-minute candle close, right? This candle right here. Why did I like this candle right here? Well, because it bullishly engulfed the previous two candles, right? Now, very important. Now, this is a lot of this stuff is going to be the same stuff we go over a lot, but that's because it's important, right? So, effort versus result, right? Look at how much volume is in this candle, right? Look at how much this candle moved, right? This candle went down 1.8%, right? Look at how much volume is in this candle. It's more volume. Look at how much this candle went down. 0.2%, right? So if the bears were just as strong here as they were here, the price should be way down here. You guys see that? The price should be way down here. But it's not. The price, you have a bottom wick, a bottom shadow in this candle, right? Then you get your bullish engulf letting you know, hey, something's going to change, right? But this is the real candle that tells you something's going to change. Because there's more volume here, right? It's like physics, right? Effort versus result. There's a lot of effort in this candle, but the result is really small, which means the buyers are losing steam, or the sellers are losing steam and the buyers are taking control. So you can understand there that, and that's another confluence with volume, that you're going to get a bounce from this key area, right? So you're stacking all these confluences. You're stacking your order blocks, you're stacking your indicator, you're stacking your untapped demand, and you're understanding that, hey, something just flipped on the 4-hour bullish. This is the first time that's happened while we're in this correction. I want to get in this trade because of the risk to reward. And that's how you should be thinking when it comes down. You shouldn't be thinking, do I know that there's a 100% chance that it's going to reverse here? Because you're never going to know that. You're never going to know that. But you have to take a swing, right? So, and you want to take a swing when at the highest probability of being right, which was here, right? And you can wait for structure, right? So if we're looking down here, we see we have our 1 minute high here, right? So you can wait for this bullish break of structure on the 1 minute, right? And then you can say, okay, we hit a untapped breaker block and we broke structure. Now this is a strong low on the 1 minute. So when price comes down here, and what's the benefit of doing this, right? When price comes down here, you leave yourself a little room under the strong low. Now the benefit of that is your risk to reward gets crazy, right? And that's the importance of understanding. This is like, it might not play out, but if this plays out right, when we were doing the market structure course, this is an example of what I was talking about using a 1 minute structure break inside of a weekly, daily, 4-hour uptrend and getting in, and your RR gets insane. This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Because if you're targeting the highs again, you're talking about like a 50 risk to reward. Insanity, right? So that's why market structure is important. Now, let's look at our 4-hour. What also do we see on the 4-hour here, right? We see we come down into the reversal zone. We get a 4-hour buy. Trend ribbon flips blue. We break structure. We come down. We wick into the reversal zone, close above. So there's confluence on all of these time frames, right, that we're going to get a bounce from this area. So there should not be hesitation because you're never going to know 100%. Right, but you still have to take action as a trader. But will a 50% reach to the highs? I don't know what that means, Max. You have to clarify a little bit. Okay, so let's take a look at the daily here. All right, we retested the daily 50 EMA here. Still coming up on the MACD. Let's take a look at our 12-hour. A lot of volume in this candle, right? And you see that bulls were able to buy it back up here. It's trying to flip. So on the 1 hour, we did earlier today, we rejected from the above the 200. I think that was yesterday with this pin bar, right? So we're going to need to bounce around in here and create support and try to pull these EMAs back up. How do you know that it will go all the way back up and not 3/4 or 2/4? You don't, right? But it's structure, right? So it's understanding. The reason that we're operating on that assumption isn't for no reason, right? That assumption becomes false if this 4-hour external low is broken. Or more likely to be false, right? That we're coming up here. As long as this low holds, there's the assumption in your brain should be we are going to come back up here, right? Why? Because we're in an uptrend. In an uptrend, we revisit the highs, right? We come down, we break the high. We come down, we break the high. We come down, we break the high. We come down, we break the high, right? Because we're trading with trend. So the idea is we're getting in to the current uptrend at an area where we can have a really strong risk to reward. Now that doesn't mean you don't take profit at key areas along the way, right? You can certainly do that, but your assumption would be that we're going to revisit the highs due to trend. This is Bybit. This is Bybit. Does that make sense, Max? That is why the sweeps to the lows. So you're not being a prophet, right? You're not trying to predict what the market's going to do, right? You're just trading structure because you're just trading probabilities, right? If the trend is up, you're looking for longs because if you get into a long in an uptrend, then you're going to be able to hold it to the new high, right? Whereas if you're taking a short, you're just expecting to get, the little pullback, right? You're not expecting to hold it to zero. Whereas if you're taking the long, you're expecting to hold it to the next high because it's a continuation of trend. So we're hitting supply here on the 30-minute, pulling back a little bit. Above, all right, yeah, so we came above the 200 on the 15-minute. Again, we're coming back to this breaker block here. Relevant 15-minute low is here. Internal low, right? It's here. 113.246. Man, yeah. Yeah, it was good down here. Hold on, I'm losing my train of thought here. Yeah, I would still expect us to come up to last week's VWAP at 116. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that before we go over anything else? You're addicted to shorting because the down moves are violent? Well, I mean, yeah, but would you rather short here, right? Like, would you rather short and get like this small little movement, or would you rather long here and get this, right? So this is something that we went over before, right? So the reason that you trade with 4-hour market structure is because you're going to be able to be saved by the trend more, right? Now, if you're trading 4-hour market structure, right, then you would know whenever we were at the highs over here, right, after we broke this high, where did your 4-hour market structure break? Well, it broke after this low was done, right? This is where you had your bearish break of structure, right? Now, if you waited for your 4-hour structure to break, and then you took your fib and you drew your golden pocket, this was back after we hit that 110 high, wouldn't you rather take this short? Wouldn't you rather take this short? Wouldn't you rather take longs all the way back up, and then when the 4-hour structure breaks, take this short? That's my point. Trading with the 4-hour saves you, right? Yeah, I mean, so that's why it's good not to have a bias and just trade with structure, because then you're not trying to predict what the market's going to do. You're being an analyst and you're reacting to it. That's why we've had this 4-hour bearish break of structure level at 110.4 on our chart all this time, right? That's why we've been looking at this golden pocket. That's why we were looking at this golden pocket bounce for a long time. That's why this golden pocket was respected. And that's why we're bouncing from the 886 in the mitigation level now. Right? Speaking of mitigation, right? We would expect under Wyckoff to either bounce from here or this decision block here, right? So whenever we come down and bounce from here and we see a break of structure out of that, we're expecting a bullish move when we retest demand. Well, like you can use your 1 hour, right? So you can use you want to use 3 time frames, right? Your trend time frame, or your bias time frame, right? Your trend time frame, and then your entry time frame. Hold on. This is supposed to say minute. But yeah, so you want to use multi-time frame analysis to understand, but your bias time frame is going to be your largest time frame. Okay. Australian Shepherd. Okay, cool beans. So something else that I want to talk about. So something new that we've introduced in the Discord here is these daily trading plans that we're sharing, right? So today, we were looking at a couple plays here, right? So we were looking at a failure to break, this was before New York, right? We were looking for a failure to break 115-100, followed by a 15-minute SFP or engulfing candle. We were looking to short on the rejection of 115 to 115.1, targeting 114.4 and 113.7, right? And if we look at what happened on price, if we go to the 15 minute, right, we saw the rejection at 115.100. We saw the 15-minute bearish engulf. We saw the retest of 115. You can short there with your stop at 115.300, where it said, right? And then you came down and hit that 113.400 target, right? So we got that play. And then if we look at the next thing we were looking at over here, we were looking at the range long slash mean reversion, right? A wick into 113.700 with a clear SFP on the 15-minute or 1 hour. We were looking to target 114.400 with a stop at 113.3, right? And if we take a look at price here, we got this SFP on the 15-minute down to 113.400, closed above on the 1 hour too, right? We got that SFP. And then we came up and we hit the target at 114.400, right? So those two trades played out. And then we were also looking at a breakdown play, right? So 1 hour slash 15-minute candle closed below 113.700, short the breakdown with a stop loss at 114.050, targeting 113,000, right? We got the 15-minute close below 113.7, right? And then we came down to 113,000, right? This would have been a little bit harder to take, right? You would have had to use probably a smaller time frame. Yeah, like maybe the 10-minute, right? To pull it down. But the point is these trades work and it's free every day. So just take a look at the bot trades as well. A lot of the analysis stays the same from yesterday. I still expect us to come up to the weekly VWAP as long as we don't lose 4-hour structure. We're still, if we do come down further, we're still looking at the range deviation sweep, right? We're still looking for it to hold 110.876, hold this 4-hour bearish break of structure level. So if we do come down and sweep, right, something like that, you can get in, stop loss below the range deviation level, and look to take it up to the top of the range. That would be what I expect if these lows break. If these lows break, I would expect an SFP, right? Close below here, we're probably coming down to 108.6. But if we don't close a 4-hour candle below here, I would expect the SFP play. But this was all went over on yesterday's stream. Not much has changed. All we really did today was come down to mitigate the range. So a lot of the plays from yesterday are still relevant. Awesome. All right. If you guys have any altcoins you want me to look at, you can drop those in chat now. We're going to take a peek at ETH, though. So after hitting the previous VWAP target at 37.10, we've seen a retracement. We lost the value area low here. Bouncing from this little demand area here. We got to zoom in a little bit. Man. Okay. Yeah, Barb, I know that you shared that as well. Good job. Cooling off a little bit. Take a look at our indicators here. It's coming up a little bit underneath the zero line. I like it. I can see why you scalped a little bit here, Geeky. I can see that. Right, 50 crosses the 200, short above the 200. It's trying to save itself right now. Ooh, I like that candle. I like that candle with volume. That was a nice candle. It's long. Okay. Yeah, I mean, right now it's just following its demand. Spider line rejection here. So what do we see here? What pattern, right? Why does this look good, right? So one thing that we can look at, if we look at structure, what pattern do we talk about all the time, right? We talk about SFP break of structure. Yeah, see that? That's the pattern we got here, right? We got a liquidity sweep here, came up, broke structure. Why is this important? Because this creates external structure, right? Price comes lower, then comes and breaks the top, right? Now we know that this is a range deviation, but still structurally we know the 15-minute is in an uptrend. The problem here is that it does have a bit of like a bearish harmonic pattern here, right? But it already hit TP1 of that pattern. So understanding that, right, if we draw a fib, which is probably what one of the things Geeky was looking at here, right? We're in our golden pocket 786 zone here, right? Where I would expect to bounce. Let's zoom in a little bit. Again, I'm just going to point this out every time we see it, right? Bearish cross of the EMAs, right? We're selling above the 200. Confluence with the reversal zone as well. Easy way to get on trend. Yeah, so on ETH, I think it can come lower. Some areas that I would be aware of if we do come lower, right? Obviously, we favor order blocks that are in discount, right? So like these two order blocks, for example, would be appealing. So those levels to mark on your chart would be 35.19 and 35.02. Look for, I would say, like a 5-minute structure change in here. Now, one thing to be aware of, we are at the bottom of our channel on our 4-hour, which is nice. Nice, JV. Love to hear that, man. Love to hear that you're winning. Yeah, so I would say if this SFP fails, right, then if we're coming lower, we would come to one of those areas. But we're also in a key bounce zone right now. So, and the trend is up. So there's good risk to reward here for longs, right? It's good risk to reward because you have your strong low here, right? 35.41 for a move up. And ultimately, what are you looking at? Well, you're looking at coming back up, reclaiming 36.47. If you reclaim 36.47, you could see rotation back up to the point of control at 37.79, and then a sweep of the previous range liquidity here at the value area high at like 3,900, right? So reclaim. So you can set an alert at 36.50, reclaim that. You're likely rotating the range from last week. And that was in the same TA from yesterday as well. I still see that. Another thing to keep an eye on ETH is if we do come up to 36.42 to reclaim the value area low, these EMAs will cross. Once the 50 crosses the 200, buy on the retest of the 200 to get in on the next trend move, right? You guys see this all the time, right? $50 crosses the 200, buy underneath the 200 for the next trend move up. 50 crosses the 200, buy underneath the 200 for the next trend move up. I tell you guys this over and over again because it's a way to stop FOMO, right? You don't FOMO at the top, you buy the retest. Up you go. The strong low, Cameron, is, yeah, 35.41. Yeah. Nice, man. Nice trade, Cameron. That's a good risk to reward. Okay. Cool. What altcoins do we have in the chat here? Ooh, okay, we can look at that. Yeah, but it's only 2 hours into the candle, Geeky, but you are right. Yeah, it's going to depend how today it plays out. One thing to keep in mind is there is a daily order block here. So if we sweep, oh, okay. So this is something to keep in mind. If we sweep yesterday's low on ETH, this could be a nice trade setup. If we sweep yesterday's low into 35.35 and we SFP, so if we SFP this low, let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. So if ETH does this and SFP's, so I still like the long trade from the GP 786, right? Stop loss under these strong lows. But if you get stopped out at these strong lows and you tap this order block and close above, and you can take your range deviation, right? You can use this as your stop, right? But if you come, bounce off this, close above here, I like this long to take up to the top of the range. If you get stopped out. Okay. What's the next coin here? SEI? Yeah, you look at SEI. Oh, wrong coin. Yeah, we'll definitely look at Sol, bro. Our long from down here, this is still what I see on SEI. Nothing's really changed here. Oh, our little, hold on. Yeah, our little drawing's playing out, right? Come back down to go up. I still like that, right? Reject from above the 200 EMA, come back down to go back up. Let's see. So what do we see here on SEI? So let's delete some of this stuff. So on our 1 hour, we have a breaker block, right? All right. That we're coming down to test right now. What do we also know, right? We had our 1, 2, 3 hits, model 1, decision demands, breakout, mitigation, bounce. Man, this looks good. Have we mitigated everything else on the way up? We have. All right, so another lesson on key areas, right? So what's one thing to look for, right? Areas that haven't been mitigated. This came up, mitigated, right? Came up, mitigated, right? Came up, mitigated, 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 came up, down, up. This right here never got mitigated. And you'll see this a lot on altcoins, right? So if we're just taking a look at this price action, let's zoom in a little bit on the 15-minute. Where's the inefficiency in this price action on the way up? The inefficiency is here, right? This area never got mitigated. You could, if you're not looking at the order block, you technically draw it like this, right? But this area here never got mitigated. So we would expect that when the price shoots away from this area, it's going to come back to retest and mitigate this area, right? We can use order blocks to be more precise, right? But we can understand that this is the area that we'd expect to come down to. Sweeps the liquidity in the low, right? Sweeps the liquidity in the higher low, in the low. SFP, reversal back up. Now, what are we looking for structurally? So 15-minute. So 15-minute. So if you're trying to get a trade and you want to use structure to confirm, this would be where you look, right? You come above here. Use the low as your strong low as your stop. Targeting previous highs. 11-to-1 trade. Right? TP1 would obviously be up here, right? ultimately targeting the top of the range. That's what I see on SEI right now. I see that as a re-entry point if you're not in from the long that we had down here. Underneath the strong lows. Stop loss is like 28.14. All right. Sol? Yeah, let's take a look at Sol. This is not my Sol chart. Hold on. There's the Sol chart. All right, so Model 2. Decision demands. Initiation, mitigation, continuation. And then everyone's going to be like, inverse head and shoulders, right? Okay. Range, initiation, mitigation, continuation. If you guys have been watching the last few days of the trade, you guys know that we've been walking through the preparation of this Sol trade. Why do we like this Sol trade so much, right? You guys know. You guys know why we like this so much. It's a daily golden cross retest. Right? This is daily golden cross retest underneath the 200. Let's look at Bitcoin for a second so we can get this point across, right? 50 crosses the 200 up. Retest, buy underneath 200, big trend move. $50 crosses the 200 up, buy underneath the 200, big trend move. Right? The daily time frame. So if Sol is going to make a run for the end of this cycle, now is probably a pretty good time to get in. Right? What's the invalidation? This 50 EMA crosses back down underneath the 200. Right? If it crosses back underneath 200, we're talking like spot, right? If you're not trading. 50 crosses underneath the 200, right? Death cross, you're probably wrong. 50 stays above, buy now, hold the Valhalla. Now, you guys know I'm generally conservative, so if I'm telling you guys this, it's because if there's a time to load up on a little bit of Sol, it's right now. Right? Because even if the price comes down, right, like here, what is that? 162 to 150? It's like 10%, right? 50 crosses under. All right, you're wrong, you sell it. Otherwise, price goes up to new all-time highs. It's a pretty damn good risk to reward, right? Let's see. Yeah, I'd say a 10 risk to reward is probably pretty good. Pretty good risk to reward there. And trading, right? Getting in now, understanding that you're at a daily golden cross. And you're at a 4-hour break of structure. You're also correct, Barb. Yeah, it is REMC as well. Right? You got a bullish engulf on the 4-hour. See, understanding the structure stuff, you're at a key level. Right? You're at the 618. You're at your decision demand. Right? Doesn't mean you're 100% going to win the trade, but I'd say it's probably a pretty damn good time to trade this crap coin asset, whatever you want to call it, right? Probably a pretty good time if there was a good time. And you guys know I don't say that lightly because I never advocate you guys mainly trade these things. But there is a time and a place for everything. That's what I see on Sol, bro. I think it looks good, Kevin. Okay. Sui? Yeah, we can look at Sui. And you guys saw the 4-hour trade on Sol on, I think it was yesterday, the day before live stream. That's still pretty much the plan, right? Okay. Right, like Sui's still got a bit of room down to come underneath the 200 on the daily, right? What do we see here? 1, 2, 3 hits to the low, decision demand, initiate, mitigation, continuation. Right? What is that level on SUI? Right, you might miss it, you might not get it, but if you're a patient trader and you're looking for a setup like the one on Solana here, right, be looking at $3.08 on SUI, right? Some sort of structure flip down here would be great. Invalidation, the 50, if you're talking spot, invalidation if the 50 crosses over the 200. Right, like if you bought spot SUI here, and your invalidation is the 50 crossing under the 200, right? You get saved at the last minute. These are thick, but if they were on one thickness, the 50 never crossed underneath the 200. You bought here. Oh, no, I'm in drawdown. I'm in draw. Or if you have Cipher Matrix, you bought here or here, right? Nice. But just for the strategy, right? You buy here. You're patient. You're rewarded, right? That's the idea. That's the idea. Okay. Cool beans. So Sui's, I think Sui can go lower. I think it's still got some work to do. Zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, it's about to have a death cross on the 4 hour. I think a patient trader can wait for Sui to come down here. I think it SFP'd 4 hour structure too. I can tell you when I don't think that's the case. Right, here you go. 4 hour. Yeah, this is only one red candle, right? So it wouldn't be a valid low. So you get tricked if you look at this for structure, right? 2 consecutive candles to make a low. This would not be a break of structure. This would not be a low, right? So your structure high is here. So if you put your break of structure here, you're wrong. This is an SFP. So if you want to be bullish on SUI, you want to trade with 4 hour structure, right? So in order to break 4 hour structure, you'd put an alert at 3.6. If you close a 4 hour candle above 3.6, okay, cool. Now you have a strong low. You can long SUI. Until then, I would say most likely scenario, if this doesn't break, is coming down to this 308 level. This is where I would look for a long on SUI, 308. Yeah, Cuban. I like it. Dude, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? But I mean, you sell at 170, it keeps going up. You're mad then, right? You know, having a key invalidation, right? Who cares? You can't predict the market, right? You can enter, you can make a plan, you can execute the trade with good risk management. Hope it goes well, right? That's all you can do. Okay. We already looked at ETH. Bonk? Yeah, we can look at Bonk. Ooh, I see why you want to look at Bonk. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I like when you guys bring me interesting stuff. Alright, so it's still technically downtrend on the weekly. This is your supply. This is your mitigation. SFP'd this. Coming back down. So I'll tell you what I do like. If today closes red on Bonk and then you break this high, you have daily structure. I'm gonna be honest with you though. I really would like bonk down here. Like if you don't normally trade bonk and you can be patient, I would set an alert here. But I do see what you mean in terms of like a short-term bounce here. So you do have a couple of key areas here, right? You obviously have this whole demand zone that we can mark out, right? But you also have this order block. Let's draw our fib here. It looks like 618 here as well. Yeah, 618 order block confluence. I like bonk here. I like bonk at 22.5. I like it at 22.5. I like let's say 30-minute structure break out of 22.5. Minute structure break out of here. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad thing, man. Like, TP1 would be here. TP1 would be here. Yeah, Cameron, it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's in the charts already, right? We talk about the where's the inefficiency in this chart. The inefficiency is here. And it's 886 on an altcoin. It's almost too easy, right? Yeah, so for the patient trader, I like bonk at 15 too. For like a more scalpy play, right? Or if you're really bullish on bonk for some reason, right? I like 225, 0.0225. That's what I see. We can look at the indications here a little bit. Ooh, underneath the 200. Yeah, I mean, this order block underneath the 200. Let's see how it behaves normally. Yeah. See, guys, like you can trade spot really easily with just a 50 and 200, right? 50 crosses the 200, right? You don't have to hold through all of this garbage, right? 50 crosses the 200. Retest underneath the 200. Get out if the 50 crosses back under. It gets saved because other people are using the strategy too, right? And then you get to ride the move to the upside quickly, right? I know this stuff is repetitive, but it's worth it, trust me, guys. What is that? That's 205% in a month. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. Cool beans. That's what I see on bonk. Fartcoin. Yeah, we can look at Fartcoin. Doge? Okay, we'll look at Doge first, Cameron. Dang, man. If you watch the Cipher Matrix education videos in the Discord, this is a strategy, right? Comes out, retest the reversal band, wick in, test. Nice catch of the lows on here. Nice catch on this daily buy. Damn, it might be, guys, I would set some daily alerts on Doge on Cipher Matrix if you have it. This is really clean price action. The reversal zones are tearing Doge apart. Okay, let's get into it though. We had a sweep of that low. We had a weekly mitigation. All right, so here's that play, right? 50 crosses the 200, buy underneath the 200 on the weekly. I'm going to burn this stuff into you guys' head. All right, 4 hour. Death cross on the 4 hour. I like Doge down here. I like Doge at 18 cents. 18,275. I like Doge down there. Doesn't mean we'll necessarily get it. We are at a golden pocket. All right, so this is, I like to give setups for the patient traders and then setups for people wanting to get in on the action. If you're a patient trader, I like Doge at 18,269. If you're just setting and forget it alert, right? But locally, you're at your 618 here. You're at your point of control. Lots of volume here. Yeah, Cameron, it does look good. It does look good, man. Lots of volume here. Let's look at our 1 hour. Decision demand, right? Bouncing from decision demand. I have a feeling the 1 hour is going to look pretty good. Okay. All right. I like this on the 1 hour. I like Doge at 19,467. I like a 5-minute break out of here. 5-minute structure break here. I like a 5-minute break out of 19,4. That would be a tap of the reversal band on the 1 hour. It would stop everybody out from these lows, and it would tap demand that hasn't been tapped yet. That's what I like on Doge. 19,467. Because you SFP, all right, either that level or, because you had your bearish SFP here. So if price closes above 0.20003, you can enter like this. Stop loss below the new strong low, targeting the highs, like a 2.6 trade. Or if you come down here, you get a 5-minute break, use that 5-minute as your strong low, target the highs. That's an 11. Those are the two trades on C on Doge. And this could turn into a much larger trade. And then patient traders are like 18,269. Cool beans. All right. Fartcoin. Yeah. Let's look at Fartcoin. Okay. Oh, Fartcoin. Rejection from a spider line here. Coming back down. Bounce from demand. Nice bounce from demand. Jeez. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Ooh, underneath the 200 on the daily. Bouncing from the lows. All right, patient trader. SFP of these lows. SFP of 7930, maybe into this daily level, like 78. I like that. If we're bottoming out now, let's take a look. We bounced off this nice 4-hour order block. Ooh. Sweep these lows into the reversal bands. These are really bearish EMAs on Fart. Really bearish. Next spider line, so rejected from this. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I like the sweep of these lows. I like the sweep of 80 cents on Fartcoin. I think this is an amazing trade. The sweep of 80 cents is an amazing trade. Otherwise, with these really bearish EMAs, I would just be scalping Fart. There's better setups. I mean, we looked at coins like just Solana itself, right? I mean, you could be scalping this coin all day, right? 50 crosses 200 bearishly short up here. Target the lows. Nice little 10% move on a short, right? Not bad. Not bad. Right? Cipher matrix gives you a sell indication. You lose the reversal band, retest the reversal band as resistance, flip purple, shorted down. Now, careful with definitely any shorts right now, right? Because you're at demand. Haven't broken any structure on the 5-minute. Your 5-minute high is way up at the top. There's a, yeah, in order to get 5-minute, so if you're looking for a scalp, right, you could get another red candle into the low, come up, break the structure, use that as your stop, and try to come back up here. But I just think there's better coins to long here. I think setting an alert, yeah, I think setting an alert on fart at 80 cents when everybody thinks it's going to die, I think that's your best bet on fart. You know what? I haven't even looked at pump. What's pump doing? Ooh. Oh, this is the 5-minute. Man, how big are these moves? Oof, yeesh. I don't know if I'd call this people moving to this. All it's done is gone down. And it's above a bearish EMA ribbon right now. It's got some more work to do. SFP's getting a sell signal. I would be careful longing this right now. Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to long this, it's got to close a 4-hour candle above 3286. You got to close a 4-hour above that. Otherwise, this looks like it's getting rejected. Oh, we're breaking out. Nope. Where would it likely come down? It's already retested that. It's already tested that. Ooh, it's kind of already mitigated everything. There's a lot of liquidity. I would be careful with this. I would be careful with this. Really careful with this. Okay. There's some hopium. There's some hopium. I see Geeky. There's some hopium. You could be really early in an accumulation model here. Okay, cool. Nice little lesson here. So let's talk about it. What work does pump have left to do? So we would consider this a model 3, right? Flagging out at the top of the range. So what would we look for? SOS backup phase, long the backup phase, Valhalla. Right? Let it show you the strength. Likely reject off of lifetime VWAP. Mitigate the range. You're looking at a bounce in here. Mitigate the range, Valhalla. That's what you're looking for, right? If this is a model 2 accumulation, you're going to see a sign of strength, a backup phase or mitigation, and then go up. So I'd say check fart in about 2 days. And if you see initiation, mitigation, probably worth buying. Yeah. But until then, yeah, it's got some work to do. It's got some work to do. Look at Chill Guy shirt. Look at Chill Guy. Oh, did I say fart? I meant pump. I meant pump, not fart. I meant pump. Let pump with an SOS and then let it mitigate and then buy it if it is going to be a Model 2. All right, so Chill Guy, you had a nice little Model 2 accumulation here. Flag out, initiation, coming back for mitigation. Oof, man, this, oof, all right. I'm going to say the same thing I said with Fart. I like a sweep of these lows. I like an SFP of these lows. Stop everybody out who thinks that they're amazing on Chill Guy and then go up. Man, daily alerts on this too. Not bad. Not bad. I'll also say the same thing that I said, right? If this day closes red down here, then you get structure here. Come close above the high, put your stop below the strong low. You can ride it up, right? Until you get some structure here, there's nothing really to look at. Yeah, like if you break this low, so on the 4 hour, this looks a little bit better. I like this on the 4 hour. And it's about to happen right now. So if you want to front run the structure flip, I like SFP, reclaim, stop loss below the range deviation, right up. If this breaks, you can take it to the highs. Not the all-time highs, right? Not the all-time highs, the highs. These highs. And maybe it goes up, I don't know. But yeah, that's the play I like right now. That's the play I like right now. SFP of the low, into the reversal zone, reclaim the range, stop loss below the range deviation, take up to the highs. Right, obviously TP1 here, TP2 here, and then you can hold for the highs. That's what I like. Otherwise, I think SFP of 0.39 through 484. I really like what's about to happen. I like what's about to happen, but wait for the reclaim. Cool. That's what I see on Chill Guy. All right, guys. As always, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, make sure you join the free learning Discord, pinned at the top of the chat. If you want a slot on Cipher Matrix, just hit me up on Discord. We can talk about that. And we stream 5 days a week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tomorrow we're going to have a one-on-one with Crypto Kim. We're going to be doing a one-on-one with them on the channel at 4:30. As always, my name's Wave Cipher. Trade safe. Wave Cipher out. Much love.